Hey guys, it's Fox here again with Martial Arts and Philosophy. I know it's been a while, but I've been on a 7-month deployment and I just got back to mom's house for the Christmas season and I decided I'd kick off my philosophy videos again because, that's what I do with my free time, of course. Now, I decided to start with the topic of do you exist? Now, I know most of you probably clicked on that link because you were thinking, what kind of stupid bullshit is that? Of course I exist. But you had to click on it because the question was so stupid, it was irritating. But the truth is, we might not exist in the way that we think. As a good university-trained philosopher, I'll kick this discussion off by examining Descartes' famous quote, "I think, therefore I am." Except, little known fact, Descartes never actually said that. That was just kind of a Cliff Notes version of his Meditations, which was a book that he wrote. However, we're going to roll with that because it is a decent summary. So, I think, therefore I am. Pretty solid, right? If you're thinking, you probably exist. Makes sense? Well, in some respect, yes. But maybe not in the way that we think. As strange as it sounds, the problem with the proposition begins with I. So what is I? Defining that gets tricky, but I don't intend to catch you into some silly academic trap of asking you to define a concept you're well aware exists, but you simply don't have the right words for. I hate that. I always felt like this wordplay was cheap to begin with, and therefore cheapens the entire practice of philosophy, which, as you might know, I believe should be something we use as a tool to better our lives, not something we should just practice academically. Yeah, there's the whole, oh, how can you really say you know something if you can't define it thing. I don't know, maybe you experienced it. I mean, isn't that worth more? Who would you say knows more about playing a video game? Someone who can describe every aspect of the video game, or someone who knows the video game so well in and out that they can beat it very quickly, but they can't really explain it to you in any reasonable manner? I mean, I certainly don't think that somebody that can explain it really knows it as well as somebody that could, say, play it. So there's a perfect example of this definition is kind of irrelevant to whether you know something or not. This seems silly. However, that aside, this conscious feeling you have of being you might not be as persistent as you might believe, and that is the problem. What I mean by that is when we think of ourselves, we tend to attribute some long-standing permanence to the idea. Tabling any discussion about whether or not we persist after we die or what not, we generally think of ourselves as more or less the same person across a lifetime. Otherwise, who is this I we're constantly referring to? Enter Buddhism. The Buddha challenged the idea of self. The common challenge to those of us who believe in self is to take a few deep breaths and start monitoring the content of your mind. Sounds like meditation, that's because it is. You might feel a bunch of sensations, perhaps anxiety because you have a paper due tomorrow, or maybe you need to get some work done, or you feel like you're wasting time watching YouTube videos, or you might feel calm and serene because you're on vacation, or maybe you're excited because you're exploring a new topic, or whatever. Underneath or over top of that, you might feel tingling in your leg, or an itch, or simply the sensation of sitting on your bed, or your couch, or your chair. You're also perceiving sounds, that of this video, whatever ruckus is going outside or inside your house. You might also be tasting a chocolate croissant from Starbucks, or whatever. Then, as you continue to monitor yourself and your surroundings, these sensations and feelings pass, and new ones rise in their place. Now, there are new noises, new itches, etc. What do any of these things share in common? Are any of them identifiable as you? So you might see what I'm getting at now, and state the obvious, which is that none of the sensations we identify with are us, but what is then? Is it the narrator inside your head? Apparently that's just attributable to a bit of your brain called the default mind network, which generates random thoughts like, I need to go get groceries, and I like this, or this is stupid, or whatever. But is that really you either? And is the narrator tomorrow that is generating different thoughts the same person? Or perhaps if your particular network of thoughts or likes or dislikes, that's usually kind of the hypothesis people come up with. Maybe you could even say that if one or two of your likes or dislikes change, you're still the same because the network's largely the same, and so you're still you. To that effect, though, consider the following. Imagine your mind's a ship. Let's call it the USS Victory. What happens when we remove a plank from the Victory and replace it? Is it still the same ship? Most would probably say yes, but what about if the engines get replaced? What if we change the color? And then what if all the parts are replaced? One question might be, well, was it done over time or was it done all at once? But does it really matter? What is the rationale for when the ship remains the same and when it becomes a different ship? Is it 50%, more, less? Why is that? The truth might be the whole concept of self is just a placeholder title for an ever-changing bunch of phenomena, just like the USS Victory is just a placeholder name for an ever-changing bunch of planks, engines, colors, and parts. Now, in some sense, the ship could be said to exist, just like we could describe a chair as either a chair for its form and function, or by its individual parts. It's an amalgamation of the arms, the legs, the cushion, the wood, whatever. Or even by the very atoms that compose the chair. These are all just different levels of reality, with fundamental ones being supposedly more real than the compositions. But the Buddha didn't believe the idea that one level of reality was more real than another either. Buddhism is actually famously attributed for the idea of non-self, but in the Pali Canon, which is the most ancient set of Buddhist texts, the Buddha actually said that there was not self, not non-self, not both self and non-self, and not neither self nor non-self. To which his monks said, "What are you talking about?" And to which I believe we just answered. What he was saying in a more sensible, civilized, Westernly fashion is that there are different levels of reality, and to just focus on one is not to observe the truth as a whole. You lose sight of reality the second you get lost in a single perspective. So, you exist? Yes. But also no. But also not yes and no. But also not yes nor no. Whatever. That's ridiculous, right? But it's not wrong. More importantly, what does all that mean to you? Well, it actually means a lot. The Buddha claimed that if you could fully grasp this concept and live by it, you've theoretically achieved nirvana, which is layman's terms, is that you'll continue to exist without suffering for the rest of your days. Why? Well, because there are some very heavy concepts that follow from this premise of self that we'll discuss more next time. For now, I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you will help me spread the practice of philosophy for the good of humankind by subscribing and sharing this video with as many people as you can. Please comment below. I'd love to spur some great discussions, whether I'm actively involved in them or not. Remember, the purpose of philosophy is to make you think so you can carve your own path, be your own person, and live a happy, healthy life. I hope you enjoyed.